Teachers, what is the most ridiculous petty thing a parent had contacted you over? When I came out to my parents, they decided it was my English teacher's fault for always wearing colored bras under a white blouse. So they put in a formal complaint. Obligatory, not a teacher, but an assistant school counselor. We had a furious parent call us several and accuse us of turning her son gay. Her son, who was cutting a swath through the school's female population. The calls stopped after he got a classmate pregnant. One mother threatened to yank her daughter out of the school if this student were not given the starring role in the Christmas concert to sing O Holy Night, an incident previously noted. The girl had made it perfectly clear to me, the faculty and classmates, that she realized she wasn't musically qualified for the part. Neither did she want to do it. It was entirely her mom, determined that her daughter should be the star of the school, no matter what. I had a parent complain because I played a CD of classical Persian flute music one day in class. The class was world languages and cultures, and I played a different CD from around the world every day as they came into class. They thought I was sympathizing with terrorists and should only teach American stuff. I used to teach phonics, basic reading skills, to kindergarten age kids. One parent came in after class, irate, and demanded to know why I had taught the diphthong before the oi diphthong. He didn't want his kid to be able to read the word girl before being able to read boy. Kept going on about how boy was just more important and common as a word, and teaching kids less frequent words before more frequent ones would slow down reading progress and was bad pedagogically, and so on. In hindsight, I'm impressed that he managed to squeeze so many justifications into something so pointlessly stupid. There was a mom who was mad that we wouldn't let her son be in the class that he wanted to be in. Her son was in grade 2, but for the first 2 or so months of the school year he would go to the kindergarten classroom every day. We're not a big school, so there's only one grade 2 class. Developmentally there was no reason he should still be in the kindergarten class. He just kept going there because he liked the toys better, and when he was in there he would make fun of the younger students because he was older and smarter than the rest of them and would hit them if they were stupid. When we told the mom what was going on and that we needed her to support this transition, she thought we were doing this just because we didn't want her son to be happy at school. We finally got him to go to the correct class, my class. But the troubled behavior, hitting, swearing, making messes, being purposefully distracting, disrespectful and generally inappropriate, still continues, and the mom's ideas that we're picking on him and are being mean to him still continue. I gave the kid a D on a homework. Parent contacted me to complain that I was picking on him, even though the parent agreed that most of the answers that he gave were wrong, but I should have cut him some slack. When I was teaching overseas at an American school, I had a parent of a 5th grader who felt that her son wasn't being challenged enough. This came out during the October parent-teacher conference. Okay, so, work and challenge level ramps up to a degree I feel he can handle. Next conference, after said student's grades drop a tiny bit, same parent complains that I am being too tough on her child. Facepalm. A parent at my sister's school complained because it rained on the school trip to the zoo. I wouldn't have given permission for my child to go on the trip if I had been properly informed it might rain. I had a parent complain about unfairly sending her kid home after he was running a 101 fever and vomited right in the middle of the cafeteria. She insisted that every witness in the whole cafeteria to the vomiting was lying and insisted that the 101 fever was caused by her child wearing a sweater. This mom was not called away from a job to pick up her sick child. She was a housewife. She was literally at home when the school nurse called her home phone number. Organizing a grad dinner. Mother comes in and demands her daughter perform her music. I inform her the grad class has picked someone else other than her daughter. She gets even madder. She corrects me that she is not talking about her daughter that is graduating. She is talking about her daughter that graduated years ago trying to launch her music career. I laugh and professionally inform her it will never happen. Couple days later she called the conference center and tried to make all the meals kosher and a bunch of other stuff. Wild lady. I had a parent complain that I was speaking too much French in class, which would be legitimate concern if it went to high school junior level French class. Moving students. When I taught high school, I moved seating arrangements about once a semester. keeps them on their toes, forces them to work with other students and breaks up some of those talky groups we tend to get. Every time it happened I got calls about how dare you move my baby. He wants to sit next to his friends. Your child does more talking than work. He needs to be away from his friends. My little girl needs to sit in the front row. Otherwise she won't pay attention and get all A's. Your kid is fine in the second row. She's focused and learning. I need the front row for my IEP kids. You only moved him because you hate him, you're racist, you're mean. Yeah, it just really makes me happy to move your child 2 seats to the right. Seriously folks, it's a seat change in one period. Unless there is a medical reason that dictates otherwise, your kid will be okay wherever I sit them. This one sticks out for me. My class was about to take a unit test on physical science. It had been about a month since the last test, so I sent home a 2-sided review sheet. I was checking these for correctness but grading for completeness. The plan was to hand them back out as a study guide, and I notice one that has no answers one side of it. The child had written their name at the top of the blank side, so they had seen it and just decided not to do it. I gave the child a 50 on the assignment, since they had done half. Perfectly reasonable, right? Nope. Parent complained, but to the other teachers in the grade instead of me. Apparently, giving a 10-year-old a completeness grade based on the amount of work they did is entirely unreasonable. None of the other teachers were so mean, so it wasn't fair for me to be either. The child had heard someone using swear words. Child is 16. Thought it was odd, but still, if a student or worse teacher had sworn at him, it's not great. Was it a teacher or someone else at the school? More Thano. It was a fellow student then. More Thano. So it was someone else in school. Did it happen in the school campus? More Thano. During school hours? More Thano. So you're saying your child heard someone swearing outside of school grounds and outside of school hours and that person had no connection to the school? More than yes. I want to know what you're going to do about it. Obligatory, not a teacher. But my fiance is student teaching a 2nd grade right now and has a kid in her class that is absolutely terrible. He just doesn't do it but duck off in class. Attempts to get a beating with the parents were a waste because they stood them up on 2 separate occasions. So, she and the teacher basically told him you can't go to recess because you spent all your class time playing. Now the parents got involved, raised hell, and started picking the kid up at lunch to make sure he gets playtime. So they can't be troubled to meet with the teachers and principal, but can pick the kid up and give him recess every day. Finally, the principal waited for them and basically cornered them. The result of this meeting was finding out that the parents don't give 2 ifs if the kid learns anything at all and they just want him to be happy. Apparently the 4th grade sister is the same way and doesn't need to learn anything and will do fine in life because she is pretty. SMMFH. I had a parent come in and ask me where our cleaners were from to decide whether or not she trusted that her daughter wouldn't get her stuff robbed at school. I explained that we didn't use an agency. All the cleaners were employed directly by the school. No, she clarified. Where are they from? She was quickly invited to leave my office. Had a parent forgot to pack their kid a lunch. They called the school to tell me I needed to leave the class to go across the street and buy the kid Subway. Also, was almost physically attacked by a father because I gave the kid a C in reading. Not a teacher, but I did see this in one of the 101 level classes. Student comes in and sits in the chair, leaning back taking that standard don't care posture while another woman comes in, older, mid-50s and sits next to him. Honestly, no one takes any notice because it's college. Everyone goes at different times. I actually know the professor, as he has done a large number of classes for upper divisional history. Normally he never does attendance, but first day, 101 class, making sure he has everyone that's supposed to be there, and that the waitlisted people there are able to sign up. Noticing that this lady has notebook is out, but isn't on his list or one who raised their hands about being waitlisted. Prof. Hello, did you miss the waitlisted announcement? Lady no. Don't mind me. Prof frowns. Why not? What are you doing here? Lady taking notes for my son. Like I said, don't mind me. Prof. Stands there stunned, getting most of our attention since he is rather laid back. States. Lady. He is in college. Lady nods. Yes, but notes are hard for him. Prof, does he have an IEP? If so, we have a program for that. Lady no. Like I said, don't mind me. Prof, I do mind. You have to pay to be in this class. Lady, I'm not learning anything. Just taking notes. My prof is dumbfounded at this. No, you're gonna leave the classroom. Because your son isn't 12 anymore and darn well can take his own notes. You didn't pay for classes. So you're not at all allowed to be here. Goodbye, he says and points her to the exit. Lady, well, I will complain to the head of your department. Prof, I am the head, now leave. A mother came bulleting into the teacher's room that afternoon because both the chemistry teacher and I, assistant professor, agreed to send her autistic son to the handicapped children class where they have two fabulous teachers who work wonders with children who can't follow the pace of other kids. She was ducking mad because we couldn't keep stopping the entire class so her boy could understand some subjects. And let's be honest, he couldn't because he had been passed in previous years just to appease his mother. A case the lad couldn't even divide nor subtract in the equivalent of the US 8th grade. Apparently she wanted him to have a normal life with other kids, but he had no interest in interacting with any other boys. He got angry when we tried to explain things to him calmly, because hell, we do. We know how hard it is for him. I ended up being yelled at and scratched by him several times. Sister is a teacher. This year someone plagiarized a Wikipedia page and didn't change the font, so the parent insisted my sis read it wrong. Just so many things, but from the last week, a parent emailing to tell me it was unacceptable for me to grade her son's paper as one day late and she would be happy to call a meeting with the principal if I were to object to fixing this. The kid's paper was actually 5 days late and I was trying to save his ass by giving him only the 25% off for 1 day late. Didn't happen to me, but it did to a co-worker of mine. We had a girl in the 3rd grade come in wearing IT not booty shorts. You could see everything when she bent over. We called mom and she put up a fuss but came and picked her up, brought her new shorts. I can't remember which. The next day we happened to send home a spring warm weather reminder of dress code policy and this mom thinks that we sent the flyer to her and her alone. No mom. We sent that to everyone. A child was suspended for bullying. Pretty standard. Well, that was until the next day when the child's father came in and told his kid to go ahead and finish the job to make the suspension worthwhile. The father then started threatening staff. The headmaster at my secondary school was not a tall guy, nor did he look particularly intimidating. Many mistook him for weakness. He put the boy's father into an arm lock and marched them both out of the building, then told them if they returned the police would be called. He did not return, and the headmaster got a loud cheer from his students. A parent complained to me because my rain stick is offensive to South America culture. My wife play various videos about motivation and school, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs and other famous people. She also play a video of President Obama addressing students. Nothing political, just generic do well stuff. Parent who has never once been involved in their kid's schooling decided that playing the Obama video was too much and that is what got him to come to school to complain. One day a student of mine became a big brother for the first time. My class made cards for his mom and dad welcoming their new baby boy to the family. I received a message from a parent stating that we shouldn't have mentioned the baby boy because the baby may not identify as a boy. I had a parent complain that all my rules are the reason her daughter acts out in my classroom. Basic rules like clean up after yourself and put on shoes after rest time. Her mom sees no reason for me to have these rules and thinks I'm horribly strict. I read an Allen Ginsberg poem and a Mormon parent complained because gays sneak stuff into their poems to turn kids gay. Later in the year his daughter told me her dad's favorite song was Imka. Edit. Principal made me stop teaching it to appease the parent. For the teachers answering on here, do you think the parent contacting has increased with the advent of texting and email? My girlfriend coaches HS softball and gets texts and emails from parents all the time complaining about the dumbest shit, like whether the volunteer stat lady is doing the stats right, or if the freshman starting pitcher can get more at bats in blowouts, etc. I always feel like a lot of these requests would never be made if they had to be done on the phone or face to face. My mom teaches elementary school, and in an attempt to relate to children, she has the minion theme going on in her room. It's a running joke that she is the queen and they are her minions. She had a parent complain saying how dare she call his child her minion, and saying that it was promoting slavery. A colleague had to sit through a 45-minute meeting with a parent and the head of department, with the parent claiming she hated the child because he was a farmer and she was a militant vegan who was opposed to him and wanted him to fail. Colleague is intermittently vegetarian, and it doesn't really come up in maths lessons. She was upset I made her son respond to questions in French class. Their child wasn't in a group picture from a field trip, even though their child wasn't at school that day. I clearly didn't like his child and made him sit out of the picture. He insisted that his child was there because his child got a sticker from the place we visited. Well, surprise, your child got a sticker because I went out of my way to get him one since he wasn't there, and here, have a look at my attendance book to prove that you didn't send your preschooler to school that day. I wasn't contacted. This was during a parent-teacher interview. A mother said that she was concerned that her daughter was failing. So I explained that although I thought her daughter was capable of passing, she would have to put in more work at home. She hadn't completed any homework assignments. I then spent the rest of the interview getting ranted at about how I wasn't allowed to suggest what she should spend her home time on, and how I should focus on teaching her daughter more than the rest of the class during lessons just because she was struggling. I politely explained that I couldn't do that because that wouldn't be fair on the rest of the class. The mother then stood up in the middle of the hall and yelled, "You are the worst teacher ever. I'm going to the principal and you will be fired." At parent-teacher conferences, you're always asked what's the problem or issue. Sometimes I just want to say, honestly, your kid is just a lazy pose who doesn't do anything and I can't fix that. We call that job parenting. Mum's a teacher. First day back after summer vacation, the parents of one of the kids came into school to say that over the summer her kid and some of her friends had a falling out and could the teachers fix it now they were back at school. Parent complained about the 0 I gave her son for his homework. It was turned in someone else's handwriting. She admitted it was her writing but claimed he guided her through it. He had no issues writing. She claimed he had organization issues, so she had to write it for him. My principal made me let him redo it. Music teacher. Had a concert one night. Snowed half an inch. Parent called and said they weren't risking their child's life for a measly singing festival. We get feet of snow on the daily. A minor grading dispute led to emails to my principal, the Board of Education, and President Obama. Kindergarten educator here. Not a school teacher but in the same field. Mother asked if I have some tips about how to blow her daughter's nose. There's nothing wrong with her daughter. I just work and live in a culture where parents are in doubt at their role as a parent. And in everything they do, they need the approval of their kids, even when it comes to blowing noses. A parent once contacted my principal when she called her daughter in the middle of my class to just check in, and I took the phone away mid-convo. Dared to speak with her about the importance of not interrupting her daughter's learning time just to say hi, and then hung up and kept the phone until the end of the period. The girl was mortified and I never saw the phone again. My principal shook my hand. The parent refused to respond to any of my contacts about her kid's progress for the rest of the semester. Peak helicopter parenting. A student's parent emailed me to see if their kid was attending class and if they were paying attention. This was a university general education class and per FERPA regulations, US student privacy laws. I couldn't tell them anything. I had a student miss about 30 classes. She was angry that I failed her daughter for a participation-based class. My chair and I both warned the girl at midterms that she wouldn't pass if she missed even one more day. She didn't show up to the next 3 classes. The mother went to my chair at the end of the semester to complain. Chair said she missed too many days. It was very clear why she failed, as not only did she lose participation points, but she missed a ton of class assignments she wasn't there for. They then proceeded to walk into an exam I was proctoring to try to confront me about it. I just said they needed to leave. They went to the dean and I didn't hear a word from either of them after that. Not a petty parent, but I have a petty teacher story. I was called into school because my 7-year-old son had been graffitiing the school walls. Fair enough, I had to figure out how to punish him for that. So I asked if he'd been made to clean it off yet. Teacher replied no. She hadn't been able to find it. Something didn't quite gel at this point. So I asked how she knew he was writing on walls. Teacher replied that she caught him red-handed. So why can't you find the writing for him to clean off? Because he was using invisible ink. Yes, I got called into school because my 7-year-old wrote on a wall with invisible ink. Not a teacher, but my mum is a teacher for nursery, kindergarten age kids. A few weeks ago this kid went on a little rampage and was ripping the other kids' work off the walls and shouting at the teachers. My mum told him off and took him to the head teacher's office and told him that what he did was wrong and obviously not nice to the other kids. The next day my mum was called to the head teacher's office and the parents had come in to make a complaint about my mum because apparently she had embarrassed their son and made a big deal out of nothing. My mum is the nicest person ever and this upset me so much. So many parents think their kids are little golden children who are perfect and can do no wrong. So blame teachers for doing their job and trying to make sure their kids don't grow up to be repulsive human beings. The good thing is that the head teacher basically told the parents to duck off and defended my mum. They were pretty much laughed off the premises. Serves them right for being bad parents. Back when I was teaching I was told I was racist because I didn't speak Spanish. Wife is a teacher. Last year a parent called the principal because the mother said my wife untied her kid's shoes before recess because she was mad at the kid. My mom was a kindergarten teacher, and she had one student who didn't feel comfortable using the bathroom. When his father contacted my mom he said, "Can you hold it for him? His mom always does."